Greetings, everyone. P. Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of Monday Night Must See TV with the Hudson Valley Squares. It's Q&A night. I want to thank everybody for submitting their questions over the last couple of weeks. We picked out a bunch of them. We're going to tackle them as best we can tonight. And let me introduce the crew before we get started. He's sipping away already. Mr. Butch Jones is in the house. Karen La Preziosa is here. Rob Lasante is here. Craig Kaminsky is here. Bryce is here. Nick Franco's here. He's back from Germany. Mr. Ryan Scow is in the house. Count Ralphus is here. And Mr. Chris Allo is in the house. What's up, everybody?
Going on.
You guys ready to tackle some questions? I am ready. All right. Here we got one right off the bat. And I'll just pick a random person or two to answer this one. Question for everyone. What was the hardest theme you've ever discussed about so far on this show? It can be any topic, one that was almost impossible for you to answer and come up with stuff. Rob, I'm going to pick you. What was one that was just so hard for you to kind of tackle?
Oh, Jesus. I'm trying to think. The hardest topic, probably, well, on this show you're talking about, right? On Hudson Valley Squares. Something to do. I'm trying to remember. Jeez, because I didn't read any of the questions, so
okay.
I knew this wasn't. I wanted to be surprised. I'm really surprised.
You want me to come back to you? You want me to come back to you? I saw Chris.
Yeah, come back to me. Let me think about it.
All right, Chris raised his hand. So, Chris, what was the hardest one for you?
I was going to say a constant topic that's always a difficult one for me is who's better, Iron Maiden or Judas Priest? I remember we did an episode on that quite a while ago, and I've always said, man, that's a tough one. If you put a gun to my head, you might just have to pull the trigger. So that's always a tough one for me. I can't really take sides in that fight.
Okay. Anybody else have one that comes at you right off the top of your head?
Yeah, negative concert experiences, because my brain always shuts out bad times. I don't keep them in my brain. They just roll out. And also because I generally don't have bad times at concerts, because I tend to just go to stuff I like. That was hard to come up with those bad memories.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Any of the top for like whatever year it is, those the top threes of whatever a year. Those are always. I mean, they're hard, but I just feel bad at the end of it because I want to put all my favorite bands in there, and I don't want to leave anybody else, so I feel bad.
Yeah.
Ultimately, like the last couple that we did, I thought they were 5, and you're like, well, no, they're 3. I'm like, well, didn't I just drop 4 and 5? So that made it easier. I should do them all like that.
Tough. Especially the really great years, right? And the great decades. I think like the 70s and 80s are so hard because there's just so many to choose from. So,
Actually, and thanks, Butch, because that made me think about, I think it was the last one or the one before that, where we had so many more, and I said, oh man, I forgot that one, I forgot this one, and you're just like, there's so many great albums and you just can't get to them all. You don't just, I can't look them up all of them. I try to look up all the most popular ones, I guess, but yeah, there are some of those. I mean, some of the ones that you guys come up with, I mean, I'll be honest with you, half those bands I don't even know. I'm not really into the black metal scene, so, but I'm, everything else, though, there's just so much music, especially, in the 80s and the 90s. So yeah, that's a hard subject sometimes to go through.
Absolutely. It is. The worst is when it's over and we say goodbye and you're like, God damn it.
Yeah.
There's always one more.
Like,
right in the
it
brain.
Bothers me for 2 days that I forgot. Like there was one that I don't remember what year it was. Was it 80? No, it couldn't have been 85. Or maybe
you missed Loudness one year, I remember.
Yeah, I missed the Loudness one.
Yeah,
that bugged me for like 3 days after that. I was like, how did I forget? Oh my God.
And that question was from Gabrielle Aldivoliera. Wow, holy long name.
Good question.
Here's one from Dan P 9092. What are your top 3 venues that you have attended that no longer exist? A concert venue you loved, but it's no longer there. Anybody have
L'Amour's.
Yeah.
L'Amour's,
City
CBGBs.
Gardens,
CBGBs, Limelight.
Yeah, that's
Limelight.
I'll do one from our Canadian friends, Catacombs in Montreal. It's my favorite venue of all time. Not there anymore.
What's it
One
called?
for you,
It's
Pete.
called the
Frank
Catapult.
Cariola's Sundance.
Catacomb.
Yeah, it was a tiny place. It was actually like a I don't know, but just like the way like the stage was like had like a circular stage so you could see from anywhere in the venue. It was like it was fucking great. I love that place.
There's
Brian, where did we see Emperor in '99?
And per 99 was a Limelight, I think.
It was.
Maybe.
No, Tramps. It was some weird club with Borknagar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember.
Yeah, that was at a place called Tramps. I never went back to that place for another
Tramps.
I've
show.
been to Tramps.
I've heard of Tramps, yeah.
A lot of those New York City places are gone.
Oh,
can-
yeah.
almost
there's
all
the
of them are
bank
gone,
is
especially
gone.
Manhattan.
Yeah, they're all
The
gone.
Rising Slum, or as we used to
Oh,
call it,
right.
Yonkers.
Rising Sun, yeah. I saw
If we
SOD
did this
and Overkill.
episode in a couple of months, we'd be talking about the chance.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
That's
Oh,
going to be
dude.
up there. That's
Yeah.
we'll see.
That's
I don't
the
think
truth.
I don't think any of the old New York City venues are still there. Like there's a lot of them now, but they're all relatively new.
No,
even BB King's, which was very corporate and very cold in that regard. I still saw some
Yeah.
amazing things there. Sodom, Morbid Angel, Emperor.
Yeah, but I fucking hated that venue.
Irving
No, I
Plaza
hated it
is
too.
still there. Okay,
But
Irving Plaza is still there, and
Irving Plaza, yeah. Irving Plaza.
and
is still there.
Webster Hall, which
Yes, the
used to
old
be
Ritz.
the Ritz, is still there.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
to me the one of the most
Not
important
Roseland.
ones of all
Roseland.
time. I've seen so many great bands. They all
I think
went
Webster
through
Hall
the
is
Ritz.
closed. I haven't been there in a long time. It's
Which
still open.
one?
I was just
Webster
there last
Hall?
year.
The,
I think it
the
reopened.
real Webster Hall is still open. I think it's
Yeah.
downstairs that's open now. I don't
Oh,
know if the
okay.
main place is or not, but because there was a time in the '90s where the Ritz, like Karen was saying, the Ritz went to the Webster Hall and Webster Hall went to the Ritz, and they changed names and all that crap. But
Yeah,
I
like
think
the Summer Theater.
That's the old Ritz. It's the old Ritz.
It's so
Well,
it's supposed to.
it was the old Ritz for like a second. It was Webster
Oh
Hall,
no.
and then it switched for a little while, and it went back.
Okay.
Yeah,
Chris
it's still.
Sorry, in
mentioned,
LA.
Sundance out in Long Island, which
Yeah.
I
my
practically
favorite.
lived at every weekend for a couple of years. And is it anything anymore, Chris? Or
I heard it was demolished. I heard it was part of the parking lot of the hospital now. That was the last time.
Aww.
I think I was there one time back in the 80s.
I know
That
City
was a
Gardens
great
just got
club, yeah.
demolished.
Can't
and that
remember.
was pretty sad.
Yeah, there's a ton of New Jersey place, Studio One,
Mm.
Birch Hill.
Birch Hill? Yep.
Yeah, Birch Hill. That place, Club Chrome down in South Amboy.
Oh yeah,
Well,
the
Starland
big place
Ballroom
out
is
in
still there, but I don't like that place.
yeah.
I mean, I got to see Gazzari's a couple of times out in LA. That's
That's
gone.
It's a tough business. Most venues just don't last that long.
Yeah.
Especially after the pandemic. Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Oh,
Yeah, it
God,
really was
yeah.
like a right to the kneecaps.
The one
Well, you know,
place-
Ryan. Oh, sorry.
No, go
I'm gonna
ahead.
s- Oh, in Bergen, Norway, Ryan and I got to drink copious amounts of alcohol in what used to be the Bergen Garage. So it was a bar, but it used to be a very famous venue that Enslaved and like a lot of our bands from that part of Norway played in. Am I right, Ryan? In that
Yeah,
memory?
and the last time I was there, it was the Garage, like years
You
ago.
got to be there.
I got
not
to
me.
be there, but it's the same. It was, not too different.
Yeah, just a bar,
get drunk there.
not a music space. But yeah, it's a good question.
The
Yeah,
one
good
place I
question.
never got to go to that I wanted to, I only saw it once, but I've heard about it forever. But I remember driving by. Actually, I was going to Baltimore in 1992 and drove right past it. I'm like, oh shit, Skipjacks. Anybody remember that name, Skipjacks?
I remember.
No.
I know the name.
name.
I never went there.
I don't. It was in Maryland. I'm not sure what town it was in, but it was on the highway. Like he drove right past it. I'm like, oh shit. And that was 92, and so that's gone. Always wanted to go see a show there just because the name was funny.
There was one in Jersey I used to go to called Connections. I think in
Yep.
Clifton.
I remember
Yeah,
Connections.
Junction was a great one.
Oh, and
Obsession.
wasn't there a place?
Obsessions?
What was the place up here by Yorktown? And there was one.
Oh, yeah. That was.
There was a
before-
venue
Talked
called
about it on a show not too long ago.
not
Yeah,
Popeyes.
it's a
Oh
documentary.
no, that was over on this side of the
Yorktown?
A bar called Popeyes. I saw
Yeah.
DRI there.
Mr. Sister used to play there all the time. The
Yeah,
club in Yorktown.
I can't think of the name of it. Damn it,
Yeah.
Gemini.
Yeah,
Gemini,
was
that's
one.
it. Yeah,
Gemini. Yeah.
that's
Gemini
that
2 was
became-
near us here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's long gone.
We
Well,
could
there
do a
you
whole
go.
show
All
on
the
that
cool
one.
places are gone. That's
They're
the
all
answer.
gone.
They're all gone.
Thank you, Dan. We could probably talk a whole show about.
That's a
Absolutely.
good downer right there.
I know it's what a way to
Well,
start.
music
the
has
show.
changed so
No,
much
right?
now, so you know.
All right, here's a general question from M. Jerometa. Question for everyone. I've been following Sea of Tranquility for the last few years. I'm wondering why nobody ever talks about the British band Girl School. Is anybody on the show into Girl School? They just put out a new album. Anybody listen to
No.
Girl School here?
I like them,
I
but
think
you
we
can't
should
talk
do
about
it.
everybody.
Yeah.
No, I
I've
never
mentioned Girl School before.
Yeah,
probably a
Nick's
couple years
definitely
ago.
mentioned him. I know.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
Did
never.
you see them recently, Ryan?
No, I thought Nick has. Did Nick? Did
I
you
saw them in 2015.
There you go.
Wow.
Yeah, in New York City with Crucified Barbara from Sweden.
Wow. I saw them
Another
on
all-girl band.
Purple.
Definitely remember from back in the day with Kelly Johnson, and remember hearing when she passed. That was sad, but yeah, I was never got into. I guess there wasn't enough guitar for me with them.
Yeah, I definitely like Girl School. I always did, and
I know MTV used to have them on, Metal Night. They used to play
Yeah,
Girl School.
Racing with the Devil, wasn't that it?
Yeah,
Demolition
that was a
and
cover
Hit and Run. Those are the only albums I know. I
Yeah,
only
Hit
know
and-
early stuff.
Hit and Run, yeah.
Yeah, Hit and Run's a good album though.
Emergency is a great song. Lemmy performed that with them too.
Yep.
So there's two
yeah, and they
versions.
all
Their
dated
version.
Motorhead. That just made them even better.
Oh, the St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
Oh, what a-
Yes.
actually, I just bought for Record Store Day a few years back. I just bought that EP, that picture disc.
10-inch.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, they did what was it, Head Girl? The two of them, they all collaborated, and
Yeah.
that was cool. I got that around somewhere.
All right, so we got a question from Sardonic Wrath, who is always waiting with bated breath for the next episode of anything relating to black metal. So I guess this question is for Nick
out.
and Ryan and Bryce and Ralph. Thoughts on, Devil, D-I-E-V-L? Okay,
Yep,
favorite
Devil.
album and why? You guys have anything to say about them?
I
Yeah,
have no
they're
opinions
really.
on them.
We saw them actually. They performed.
I saw them.
Yeah, they performed, or maybe not. Right, it might have been. I can't remember if it was at Steelfest or at.
I think they played
No,
at
it was-
Steelfest.
it was
Did they
the
not
one-
play?
Yeah, I don't think I ever
Yeah.
saw them.
But they played. God damn! I remember looking at them. I think they
They're pretty
played
cool, yeah.
Bergen. I think they played
Oh.
Beyond the Gates.
Are you
They
sure?
played Beyond the Gates.
Really? I saw
I'm
them.
almost positive. Let me.
You know
I
what?
can look.
There's a high possibility.
Yeah.
I saw
So-
them and I have no fucking
Yeah.
idea.
Oh,
We-
I'm sure
we
it was a
drank a lot.
high
That would
possibility.
No, I
not-
feel like they were on Steelfest lineup, but I was like sick and
It
missed
could have
half
been
the
both.
bands. So
I know
Yeah.
they were.
Yes. Beyond the Gates 2022 Bergen. Yes,
Yeah,
I did
yeah.
because I remember seeing them. My thoughts on them are they're brilliant. They can make like 9, 10, 12-minute songs that keep you interested. They've made a lot of albums. They are all relentlessly in Norwegian, so I cannot name any. But they are consistently very good. And I think one of those guys is in the band, a much better known band, Kvelertak, who I don't listen to.
Say that one more
But
time. What was the name of that band?
Kvelertak,
Okay.
Kvelertak.
Oh, I love
Which you
that.
guys would probably, many more of you would probably like than you think, because they're not a black metal band.
Yeah, they play
But
them on
let
Liquid
me,
Metal all the time.
It's like a rock band, right?
Yeah.
It's like a rock band.
Cool.
Yeah, let me cheat here, because I probably talk out of my ass, but
Oh, I'm out.
I'm
in the
almost
cold
certain
here.
it's-
Apparently, I
That's a
fucking
talent.
saw them and I don't even know. Do you remember what venue they
My
played at
computer-
Beyond the Gates? Because it was the main venue, and then there
the
was like,
smaller one,
there was a smaller
the,
one.
s- the smaller one. Yep,
Oh,
I remember
it was the
standing
kind
there
of
transfixed watching them.
What country are you guys talking about? British?
Norway.
Norway.
that.
Okay.
Norway.
Yeah.
You know what? I was probably there, but I was probably bullshitting by the bar. So
Whoa.
You're good at that.
I am good at that.
You are.
Oh yeah, okay,
Great at that.
okay. The vocalist Erland Jelvik used to be used to be in Kvelertak. So there you go. There's your
I
connection.
I'll listen to them. I've
my
honestly, I
dentist.
saw them, and I just,
Yeah.
bands.
By the way, Sardonic Wrath says, Pete, when is Nick going to convince you to listen to Windeer? Because I'm not convinced you would like them, but you should.
Right.
Oh, you'd probably like them.
They're brilliant.
Yeah, you
You
probably
would.
like them.
You would like them. They're brilliant. Listen to Lickford. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
There you go.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
All right, here's a question from everyone, from Stephen Brown, 4211. What was your favorite, most jaw-dropping concert moment ever? Song played, a surprise guest, a song you never expected to hear, an amazing guitar solo, vocal performance, whatever. Anybody want to tackle?
I got one.
Okay, Bryce.
I got one too.
I saw Marty Friedman's solo band in a very small club. my favorite guitar player ever. I think he's the best guitar player ever. And just he played Tornado of Souls solo, just the solo he plays. But it was amazing, very small. Like I was right in the front row. He was literally like 3 feet in front of me on a tiny stage. So pretty much one of my favorite moments ever.
That's great. That's great.
I got one.
Greg?
When,
Oh, okay.
oh, sorry. No.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I was talking with Chris about this over the weekend. Back in 2000, it was when Iron Maiden got back together to do Brave New World. The tour that they had was Iron Maiden, Queensryche, and Rob Halford, and it was in August of 2000, and the Halford album had not been released yet. So really nobody knew what the songs were, and everybody kind of forgot about Rob Halford, for a few years, because the two Fight albums came and went, and the Two album just went. And so he comes out to Resurrection, and is just a song nobody knows, and is just sounds awesome. Then goes into Maiden Hell, and it's like, wow, what is and ends the show with the final note of Tyrant, with that scream. And it was one of those proverbial mic drop moments, and it was like, Queensryche had to follow that, and they were just so boring, promoting Q2K or something that they had, and they had it was like the metal god is back, and it was just really cool to see that, because like I said, he had been kind of forgotten for a few years, and so that was a really nice moment in the sun for him, for me to see personally.
Yeah, he blew away everybody at the Garden. I could tell you that. I was there. The Garden show was amazing.
That was a great show. Yeah, that was.
And he was at prime. His voice. He wasn't struggling at that point yet. He was just on fire. Yeah, great tour.
Nick, you had one?
Yeah, finally getting to see Demons and Wizards with John Schaefer from Iced Earth and Hansi from Blind Guardian, and I knew, because I had met him prior to them going on. I knew he was in the building. He being Matt Barlow, one of my favorite singers on earth, the singer of Iced Earth, former. And I knew he was in the building. But when he took the stage and sang with Demons and Wizards, that was one of the happiest fucking moments of my life. And that was only in 2019. That wasn't that long ago.
Oh,
and
I didn't know you then, Nick, but I was there too that night. Yep.
Yes, that's right. It was the anniversary of that show just passed a few days ago. I
last
think
week.
it was September 7th or something.
I still wonder why I didn't go to that fucking show.
Oh, man.
I don't know. Like, I knew about it, but it just totally slipped by. You know why? Because their second and their third album, I just didn't like.
Weren't so good. Yeah.
But that first one is fucking amazing. It's really good. So
it was so cool, because I had talked with Matt Barlow and stuff like that, and I have a thing or two in common with him, and we were really having a nice chat, and I kind of figured like, oh, he's in the building, and but you still don't know. And I'm like, and then he comes out on stage. That's it took me all back to feeling like I was, teenager again. It was freaking awesome.
We got one more holy shit moment. Anybody?
Yeah, I'll tell you, when I saw, actually the first time I went to Norway in 2018, I saw, Attila from Mayhem, but I never thought his old band, he reunited his old Hungarian band, Tormentor. And that's just a band, like, I'm like, for years, I'm like, I'm never going to see these guys. They're not going to reunite. It's just a band I love, but it's not even a possibility that I'd see them. So you don't even think about it. And then they reunited, and I flew over there to see them. Had a great time, but the main reason for going to Norway was to see Tormentor. And gun to my head, that was probably the single greatest live performance I've seen ever. Was that set? It was just, I was watching it like just spellbound. He sounded so good. They don't have a lot of material, so they played what they had, but it was fucking incredible. So sound was great. It was just perfect.
Cool. What?
That was mine.
Let Ralph go. I saw Ralph had his hand.
So yeah, I just thought of it now. I seen the question and I forgot to come up with one. There's so many things come to mind, but what I seen War in the 90s, and they had a big giant maggot on stage. It was the World Maggot, and my wife volunteered to get thrown into it and be fed into it. And fed into the maggot, and then you got to crawl through, but blood squirting all over the place. And then a year later, we seen them 20 times at the Chance, and a year later they had a big meat grinder on stage, and she got fed into the meat grinder, and blood went all over the place. So it's funny, is she goes in and it's comes back out just completely covered in all the blood. So
she's awesome.
Crazy.
That's cool.
I got a quick one. 82 at the Garden when I saw Priest and Maiden, and they were doing Devil's Child, and I remember seeing Halford looking over it, and I asked him to come over, and he did Devil's Child like right in front of me.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was probably the most amazing thing that ever happened to me at a concert.
Wow.
And also seeing Schenker at the Limelight to 1990 when they did the Walk on Water tour. Were you there, Butch? Did you go to that show at the Limelight? And then Schenker broke a string, and he was in the middle of a solo and didn't miss a beat. I couldn't believe it. I was right 3 feet in front of him. So
That was
Professional.
94, wasn't it? Didn't you say 90?
yeah, 94, not
94,
90.
yeah.
90 was. I'm thinking of something else.
Right, yeah, 94.
94. The Limelight.
And I'll tell you, mine was November 13th, 1982, Nassau Coliseum. I finally got to see Edward Van Halen. The show had gotten canceled during the summer because Eddie broke his wrist, and I was psyched. I'm finally going to get a chance to see him 82 in the summertime, and then they fucked with me and they had to make me wait till school in November. But yeah, I think that was the most excited I probably, besides seeing Sykes for the first time in '89, which was equally, but so drink. But seeing Edward, man, in '82, that was, my life was complete. I can remember to this day I don't remember what happened in school. All I knew is that I just had to go to school to get through it, and then finally go to Nassau Coliseum. And my mother bought the tickets for me and my friend, and his parents drove because my mother bought the tickets for us. And that was everything I could ever possibly waited for. Seeing Eddie come out on stage and running across the stage and jumping up and kicking the cabinets, and the cabinets are wobbling back and forth. And then they opened up with Romeo Delight. I lost my shit. That was tremendous.
I was at that show with. Yep.
Oh man.
I got pictures from that show. I always posted it.
Do you?
When he was wearing the jumpsuit. Yep.
You know, in my backwards experiences, seeing Iron Maiden for the first time in fucking 1996 with Blaze Bayley, and the Fear Factory opened for them, but it was at a small venue, and it was my first time seeing Iron Maiden, and they were well my heroes still. I mean, by that point. And you know, we were right up front, and Steve Harris, whatever shit tour, Blaze Bayley, whatever the fuck was going on, Steve fucking Harris, my first time seeing him was right in front of us, pointing his fucking bass, doing everything, and looking right at us and singing while you're singing. Like 15 times during that show, he fucking made eye contact with me, you know, as he would with anybody there. But let me tell you something.
But that night it was you.
Holy shit.
What
The
drew
only
it?
advantage of finally getting to see Iron Maiden at the lowest ebb of their career was the best.
Where was that?
The Academy.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I was there.
I remember that. I didn't go, but I remember that.
Yeah, vastly different experience, probably, Chris, for you.
The only thing worse than that Blaze Bayley show with Maiden was the next tour, which I actually walked out on because it was so fucking bad. But
Yeah.
the 96 one wasn't bad. The 98 one was horrendously bad.
Wow.
Where was
Yeah.
that?
98 was at the Roseland Ballroom. It was Maiden
Wow.
with Dio opening, and Dio just fucking crushed him. And yeah, Maiden just did all new shit, and I'll never forget Blaze Bayley's finally like, "Are you guys ready for an old one?" And you know, there was a murmur from the audience, so they played "Afraid to Shoot Strangers." I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, it was bad. It was really bad. I made it about 3/4 of the way through.
I
And
can
I'm
understand why you
like,
walked out.
fuck these guys.
But I still had my moment of Steve Harris.
Yes, you did.
Staring me down.
Yes, you
Straight.
did. Steve Harris.
Damn
Steve
straight.
Harris, absolutely. I fucked you 100%, Nick.
He was giving you those bedroom eyes, Nick.
Fine by me. Sorry.
Chris, you got a favorite moment of all time?
Steve Harris
Like
is
for a guest appearance, I seen Motorhead 28 times, but I never seen the original lineup. So I went to the Fields of Rock Festival in Holland, and Fast Eddie Clark had revived a new version of Fastway, which was cool because I never saw Fastway either. So Fastway played earlier in the day, and then Fast Eddie Clark joined Motorhead for a couple songs in,
Wow.
pretty sure it was 2006.
That's
Wow.
Yeah, that was super cool.
What
Was
did
it up
they
to
play?
speed?
Say again, Butch?
Was it up to speed or was it slower?
I mean, from what I remember, it was cool. You know, it was in the middle set. They did a couple older ones. I think it was Iron Fist, and it might have been Chase is Better Than the Catch.
Oh, very cool.
But yeah, it was very cool to see them, you know, up there, you know, as a 4-piece. But yeah, that was great.
Awesome. Well, Karen, you didn't go. You got one?
Yeah, the first time I went to see Black Sabbath, I saw them very late. It was their tour for 13, and I saw them at a casino in Connecticut. It was about a 10,000 seat arena. I got the best seats ever. They're right front center, and they played War Pigs, and I felt like a little 10-year-old girl at a Beatles concert. I was all like, I got overclamped, and I was like a little like misty. I couldn't believe it. And yeah, that was the best. That was the best.
It's all about.
Nothing could top that.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, it was a moment for real.
All right, here's one from Miles Dorst 7120. Were any of you fans of that metal show, either when it was on the air or after it went off the air? And was there any favorite guest or guest you would have liked to have seen on that? Did anybody watch that show at all?
I watched it a lot in high school.
Yeah, what'd you think of it?
Watch it.
I mean, I liked it at the time. Since then, I mean, the main guy has gotten kind of annoying. But
gotten kind of annoying.
yeah.
Yeah, I do like to watch that. I used to like to watch it just to listen to Eddie Trunk bitch about Kiss. That's all he did. Eddie Trunk's a little full of himself. I used to love to hate Eddie Trunk, so I would watch that show all the time.
But you know what though?
They had good guests.
Go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say I interviewed Eddie Trunk on his own, and then a year or two later, into the show, I interviewed Eddie Trunk, Don Jameson, and Jim Florentine all at the same time. I liked the show. Say again, Karen.
How was that?
It was very difficult. I was telling Craig the other day because when it was the three guys, Don and Jim were just making fun of Eddie the whole time. So it was like I just fucking completely lost control of the interview because I mean they were very funny, but I'm like, oh my god, how do I get back on track and get to my questions? But I liked the show. I thought it did good for the metal community. I like Eddie Trunk, but I think the only thing he kind of is very short-sighted on is, you know, extreme metal. You know,
And
Don
new
and Jim were
music.
always.
He doesn't listen to new music. He just
That's not true.
That's not true because he's always pushing Rival Sons, and there are certain bands he really because I still listen to him on Sirius XM, and he pushes Rival Sons almost every day.
And who else?
There are some newer bands.
Dirty Honey.
Yes, that's another one.
He does
stay away from extreme metal.
He just stays with the big bands. He doesn't.
No, but wait a minute. I'm going to defend him. If you had your own show, Karen, and would you not talk about the stuff that you like because you have the opportunity to talk about what you want to talk about on your show?
Exactly.
Why would you talk about something that you don't like?
Yeah, but I wouldn't put a stamp on it and call it that metal show
What would you call it?
ignoring half of the subgenres of metal and just swimming in the same pool of the same artists. That's not metal.
Yeah, but
That's
Karen,
metal.
Karen, you
That's
have to understand.
that's a general term, and you're not living up to it.
Yeah, it's a
You're
general term.
ignoring half of the metal world.
It's a general term with 150 genres, so you can't.
He never
you can't
even
like
mentioned.
everything, and you're on TV, so you can't
what?
talk. There's certain things you can't talk about because you're not going to be on TV if you talk about it. So I understand.
Well, how many times do I have to hear about Dawkins? How many times do I got to hear about?
You never hear about Dawkins enough.
This is the same freaking. They went over the same shit.
But that's the thing. If you don't like his show, then you don't watch his show.
I don't.
You like the guy's going to talk. You know what the guy's going to talk about. If I had a show, would you think I wouldn't be talking about Thin Lizzy? I'd be trying to get the world that never heard about Lizzy into Lizzy because I have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, but you're not, saying
about,
this is the metal show. It's not. It's your favorite band show. It's not metal show.
Those aren't metal bands. The bands that he likes aren't metal bands.
He likes
not the metal bands you
10
want
out of 2,000 bands. You know what I'm saying? It's just a very small drop in a huge ocean. Then that's it.
gotta
Like you
jump- I
won't
gotta
even
jump in.
acknowledge that other bands exist.
I understand what you're saying, Karen, but you have to understand that you can't talk about everything. And if you're on network TV, your parameters are a certain thing. And the thing that I like about Trunk is that he's the first person to tell you, I don't know about those bands, so I'm not going to talk about them.
Yeah,
What,
but
my-
like
my
it's
finger?
just that they don't even exist. It's just that
He
they
doesn't
don't.
like 'em. I wouldn't talk about him either because I don't like him.
But it's that metal show.
And he's talking about
Yeah,
metal.
I mean, I see your point, Karen, but I also, to Butch's point, I think he's not going to get any kind of ratings talking about Unleashed.
But
and,
not even a mention.
uh,
Doesn't even mention it.
I mean, granted, we all like
He
a lot
did
of
have-
these bands, but
You know, he did have a Monomarth and Hatebreed on that metal show. I mean,
Which
that's
is
as
good, right?
extreme as he got.
That's as
But
extreme as
he
he's going to get.
He
Absolutely.
did have them.
does
I
he
gotta
milk a
jump
lot
in.
of his favorite bands? Of course he does. Yeah,
Of course he does.
and
As
he'll
you
probably
should.
admit it. So yeah,
Like I gotta see Jakey Lee. Like that's the big interview. Jakey Lee.
That was a
White
big
Dragon.
interview for
I
a
mean,
guy that
like,
had been
what am
gone for
I,
20
70
years.
fucking
Yeah.
years old over here.
Hey, that was a great interview because the guy hadn't been around in 20 years. So that was a great get. But
Like
if
he
you don't
hasn't
like
been around
him-
in 20 years. Let's get him
This
on.
sounds very
TV.
familiar.
Exactly.
Best Ozzy guitarist.
Yeah.
It's a great. But
You're
again, if
fucking
you don't
crazy.
like it, then
I love
don't
you,
like
Bryce,
it. But
but you're crazy, man. You really are with the Dolphins
No.
hat over there.
The Dolphins looked amazing yesterday. They're winning the Super Bowl, so I had to wear it. Okay.
Oh,
I know
Two,
Ralph's got something to add. Let's
Two
We're
had
from
466
Georgia.
yards. Okay.
Ralph, what do you got there?
Yeah. All right. So first off, I for years everybody hates on Eddie Trunk like crazy. If you're gonna talk about that metal show, you look at the guests that are on there. He has members from Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Dio, Rush, Blue Oyster Cult, Thin Lizzy, like almost every band. He had like somebody from that one episode. He had Glenn Danzig and Bill Ward
Bill
on
Ward,
together. That's a show that you're going to be against and you're going to shit on.
I'm not going to be against it. It gets tiring after a while.
he
It
loves
gets
a lot of-
tiring after a while. It's the same shit.
Right,
The
I know.
same
He
people.
loves that. Yeah, he loves all that stuff. But so does someone like Bryce. There's people like Butch likes a lot of stuff like that too. So there's people
And
that
so do I, but like
it's not for
get
everybody. But
tired
it was
of
a
the
great
same
show.
shit.
It was great for metal. And Chris bring up the Jamie Josta show. I actually went to the taping of that. Me and my wife were in the audience. If you watch that show right at the very end, right before the credits, there's like a close up of my face. And there was a part in the show where Jamie Josta tried to stump the Trump, and he stumped him with a Running Wild question, and it got edited out of the show.
Of course,
And he reached into the box to grab the free thing. And when he pulled it out, it was a Hatebreed frisbee that he had brought to donate to the show. So he just flung it into the crowd, and some girl was about to catch it, and I jumped right in front of her and I ripped it down and caught it. And I thought I thought that was going to be on the show. You know, I was so happy. I was like, yeah.
dick.
Ralph was like, in your face.
True, Ralph.
But I've watched every show of That Rocks, the new show that they got on, and I think it's great. And it's funny because, you know, these guys were doing it for years with their real TV show. In the first few episodes, you should have seen all the Zoom problems they were having. It was
I
just
know,
like
yeah.
we all go through, you know, and it was fun to watch that. And I even went and seen Don Jameson and Florentine do the stand up at the Loft, and it was great.
Oh, they're
And
good. Yeah, I like them.
I think they're great for metal and music, and I still listen to them and like them. So that's it.
All right,
Yeah, I
let's
got
move on
that
to something-
wheelchair ready for you, Ralph.
All right, Ralph, don't go away because I got a question for you here. This is from Paul McGeehan. Question for Ralph: do you have an aircraft hangar for all that stuff you show off on every episode? There's no way all that material you show fits into an actual house.
Oh, but my house is every inch of my house. If I could ever get it straightened up enough, I'd show you a little tour. But every inch of my house is like horror, metal, music related stuff. And then I got a 2-door garage that has a lot of tubs, labeled tubs that I can pull in and out when I need stuff.
Wow.
Chris, you hear that, Chris?
That's what I have. I don't know. I'm amazed at Ralph's organization. I have tubs with all sorts of shit in them. I can't ever find anything.
We need to get you
Yeah,
a
but
label.
You gotta label it. You gotta label.
Gotta label it. Yeah.
Got that
labels,
Sharpie.
Ralph?
That Brother P-Touch machine, do they still make that?
Oh yeah, get a P-Touch and get a bunch of Sharpies.
Yeah, this
All you
is a
need is
Sharpie.
duct tape and a Sharpie.
There you go. We know what to get Chris for Christmas now.
Yeah.
Duct tape and a Sharpie.
Keep telling my
You
wife
know,
to
would be
do
a
that.
be a good idea would be it would be a good idea would be a, you know, how you do like the album homework assignment shows, do like a collection war between Chris and Ralph somehow, like to get them to
Oh, that
compare
would be
their
fun.
collections.
I'm
That would
sure
have,
that
that
would
would
be
have,
cool.
Nick, that would have to be on
I
location.
can't find anything.
Yeah, we'd have to like go back and forth. That would be pretty neat.
Ralph has everything.
I don't know. Al's got 6 of everything.
Yeah. He does.
Ralph has my jacket, my vest from that Domain painted for me, or Levin. You have my vest. He has
All right, so
everything.
Next is not a question from one of our viewers, but this Chris and Craig wanted us. Everybody's going to answer this question. What is your absolute favorite sandwich of all time? Chris, start us.
Oh, all right. My favorite. There's a deli that used to be my old job, and I forget what they called it. But now it's like the number. I think it's the number 8 or the number 9 at Jersey Mike's. So it's basically an Italian American or an American Italian. So it's an American combo like turkey, ham, and roast beef, but dressed up like an Italian combo. So there's like oil and vinegar and hot peppers and sweet peppers and onions and yeah, that's my favorite combo. Oh, and mayo. Yeah, that's my
You
that's my
ruined
favorite
it.
sandwich.
Wow, not a cheesesteak. Interesting. Very cool. Ralph. your
Well,
favorite.
I mean, are we talking like if a normal sandwich? Then yeah. But you know, I guess I didn't think of cheesesteaks because I only get them like 3 times a year when I'm in Pennsylvania.
There you go. There you go. Ralph,
I
your
like
favorite
sausage,
sandwich.
sausage and pepper hero. I like.
Salt and pepper.
Good
All right.
paisan, yeah.
Ryan.
Oh shit! I can't narrow it down to 3. Italian beef in Chicago, a torta cubana Mexican style sandwich, and a shrimp po' boy if I'm down in like New Orleans.
There you
Nice.
Good shrimp po' boy.
go. Nick.
Bacon, egg, and cheese, salt, pepper, ketchup.
That's New York, baby.
That's breakfast.
You gotta see. I like how you said it though. You said it the right way with no space. Bacon, egg, and cheese. There's just
Bacon, egg, and cheese. I'll
Bacon,
eat
egg,
that
and cheese.
shit any
Salt,
time of
pepper,
day.
ketchup.
It's that it makes me the happiest.
That
Up
is
at
a
the
great
top of our
sandwich,
road,
man.
right, Nick?
That's
if it's
classic.
done right, it's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And do you know what I've heard from so many people that they can never get that sandwich anywhere else in the country as good as
No.
they get it here in
No,
the
you
US.
can't.
So weird,
You can't.
isn't it?
Same thing with
Roll.
bagels.
It's the
Yeah,
hard
You
roll.
can't do it.
Yeah.
Nobody makes it as good as a little roadside joint in New Jersey. Hands down. Nobody does it as good.
Pete, I know I told you this story once on the show. One time, me and Frank White, we were in Amsterdam going to a festival, and we were looking for a place to do an egg sandwich for breakfast, and we found this little hut, and it said something like egg sandwich. So we ordered it, and they gave it to us wrapped up. They didn't ask us any questions. They just give it to us, and we unwrap it, and it was a hard roll with a the egg, a hard-boiled egg with the shell still on inside the roll. And we looked at each other and laughed like, what the fuck are we supposed to do with this?
That's quite an adventure. Wow.
Crazy Europeans.
Wait, what country was this? Where were you, Chris?
We were in Amsterdam.
Amsterdam.
We were in Holland.
Because I would tell you, everywhere I've been in Europe, the food is fucking amazing. So
Oh yeah, I mean, eventually we would get the full breakfast. What do they call it? The full British breakfast or
yeah,
English
the full
breakfast.
breakfast, yeah, load you up for
Yeah.
like 5 hours.
But we just, we wanted something quick, and we thought, oh, stupid us stupid Americans, we thought we could get
Fucking
like
shell on
an
it.
egg on a roll. We were like, what the fuck? So I think we cracked it and then smashed it, and we're like, this sucks.
Yeah,
That's pretty funny.
that is funny. Bryce, how about you?
I'm kind of picky, but I really like fish sandwiches, usually blackened, and specifically up in Alaska. The halibut was really good. I'm going back actually on Saturday, so
Yeah.
yeah,
Go
gotta
have
get some
that
fish sandwiches up in Alaska.
There you
Awesome.
go. That's the place to get it.
That's cool.
Oh, yeah.
Craig, how about you?
I'm from the land of cheesesteaks, so I'd say cheese steak with onions, peppers, sauce on a long roll.
There you go.
Yeah.
Rob?
I would say my first choice would be a super salad with fried peppers on it and mustard and
Ooh.
some,
Yeah.
maybe a little
Gabagool.
mozzarella on there. Oh,
Don't
yeah.
forget the gabagool.
My
That's right.
heart is seizing just hearing.
Oh, yeah.
And then-
Salt.
Rob, you gotta
If it's a
Salt.
hot sandwich, it's eggplant palm all the way.
Rob,
It's
you
my
gotta
favorite.
tell everybody else that listens to us what super sod is.
No, don't tell them. If you don't know,
They let
fuck
them
off.
do their homework.
You gotta go look it up.
That's tribal knowledge.
I just love when I love when I see non-Italians in delis asking for supersada,
'Cause I know exactly what you
Mozzarella.
meant.
capicoli,
Gabagool.
Capicola?
mozzarella.
Yeah, but a lot of people know what it is because of the Sopranos that are outside.
Yes.
Yeah, true.
I
Almost
went to a
like
deli
gabagool.
on Friday on the way to Craig's house, and it's a famous place in Jersey, somewhere. I think it's on Parsippany, but Lyndhurst. But it's called Vinny's Mutz, and everything has for those not to know, mozzarella on it. But yeah, everything is Mutz.
Yeah.
Nothing
You're
like
making me
fresh
fucking
food.
hungry here.
I know,
I
right?
Oh.
At 9 o'clock at night. Karen, how about you?
I'm gonna get my guinea on because we're all talking about this. I'm gonna say meatball parmesan on a nice club roll with fresh mutts.
Nice.
I want one of them too now. Yeah.
There you go. I think for me, it's got to be an Italian hero with sopressata, cabacol, a little bit of some kind of other ham, maybe a little bit of salami, provolone, lettuce, tomato, hot peppers, oil, and vinegar. Boom, right there.
Wow.
Wait, banana peppers too? I like to throw banana peppers on
Throw
there.
them all on there, Ryan.
Okay.
Lettuce, tomato, the whole shebang, all of them. Butch, how about you?
I am not a big sandwich guy.
Oh, no.
Taking out the steam out of it.
My buddy Ralph loves this. He's loved this for 40 years. I've never had a cold, like regular sandwich, like all the cold sandwiches, like cold cuts. I've never had a cold cut in my entire life.
Get the
Wow.
hell out of here.
It looks disgusting, smells disgusting, never gonna happen. But I would say probably just the chicken parm because you can't go wrong with that.
No, you certainly cannot go wrong with a chicken parm.
All the fine dried Italian pork and you're not eating any of
No.
it.
Salted meats.
Yeah, I
salty meat.
know.
I'll have some bacon though, but other
All the
than that,
cured meat and you're not eating.
Love cured meats.
never had a
Reuben,
jerk.
a Reuben that's like this high, you know.
That looks
Mm.
awful to me.
A pastrami, nice thick pastrami with a
Ugh.
lot of mustard on rye
No.
bread. Oh,
Oh,
so
that is good. Could go to a good
Yeah.
Jewish deli and get a good pastrami sandwich.
We need to set
nice
Butch with a
mutton,
nice
lettuce,
hot
and tomato.
pastrami on rye, sitting in a
Ooh.
chair watching Jaws. That's
I
what
was gonna say, and then make them watch Jaws for Christ's sake.
I would do terrible things for a nice hot pastrami on rock.
Oh,
Oh God.
so
All right,
good.
back to the music. Ryan knows this. What's coming from Bird Dab? A question for Ryan: if you're going to be woken up by that one Poison song for the rest of your life, which one would it be?
Well, they weren't that careful and they didn't specify which poison. So I know they were meaning the glam poison, but I'm thinking of the German thrash metal poison.
You got a
So,
loophole.
yeah, well, I mean, it's they didn't say which poison, they just said a poison song. So
Which
I'm gonna
band
go
was
with the
first?
German band. What's up?
Which band was first?
Well, that's a good question.
I didn't know there was a German
I'm on it.
Poison.
You know, the German band, they never released a full album. They just released some demos, which are good. But and then they broke up. So it's like really like an underground cult band.
Okay.
But they,
Take on it.
I don't know, probably around the
Demos.
same time, like 85, 86.
Oh,
Yeah,
then
their
would win-
first
they would
demo
win.
was 19. Their first demo was 1984.
They win.
What, the German one?
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
German.
they were around pretty early. Their first demo sucks though, to be honest. But they got a lot better before they broke up. But yeah, I'm going with the German band. I like them a lot.
All right, we got a question for Butch. Who would you put as the greatest bass player of all time?
And hard rock and metal.
I guess.
That's what it comes down to. I have to know a genre. But sticking with what we always talk about is it begins and ends with Steve Harris.
Got you. Yep.
Who pointed right at Nick.
And this is that's from Prog Rock Dude. He also has a question for Chris Allo. What is your rarest, most prized piece of Black Sabbath memorabilia that you own?
All right, probably a tie for me would be my Sabbath battle vest that my buddy Dez hand painted for me because it took him fucking forever to do that. And when Sabbath or Heaven and Hell, no, I technically was Sabbath, got together. I did 4 separate interviews with Dio, Iommi, Butler, and Appice, and got them on magazine covers all around the world. And the label did this like poster. It was like a limited poster where I think they eventually sold them, but they were just used for some contest giveaways, and they were all autographed by all 4 guys. and I got it. I didn't know I was getting it. The label sent it to me in the mail, and they were like, "Hey, I wasn't expecting it." They were like, "Thank you so much for all your hard work, for pushing the band," and that meant more than anything. They like get acknowledgement from the record company that wow, they really appreciated me, busting my ass getting the word out for. At the time, it was Black Sabbath, the Dio years. That was the first release they did.
That's very
Wow.
cool.
And Pete,
That's
you said
awesome.
that came from a prog person guy.
Yeah, he's got a few more. Prog Rock Dude 2691 is the person. He's got a whole bunch
So-
of here, so I'm gonna read off a
So
couple.
just let me just say this then, just going because he said that. So on the prog side of it is Chris Squire for me.
Yeah, that's a good choice. Yep.
Great
Mine.
choice.
He's got a question for Karen. I know you talk about punk, particularly hardcore punk, a lot, but have you listened to much of post-hardcore like Fugazi, Unwound, At the Drive-In, Quicksand, Husker Du, etc.?
No.
No.
Husker Du
I
are
didn't
cool.
once I left hardcore, I like ran from that New York hardcore crossover scene, and I didn't want to have anything else to do with it. I mean, I'm familiar with Fugazi and Husker Du, but I just got into like British punk and garage punk big time. And that was it.
Okay, cool.
At the Drive-In man, that's a band I haven't thought of in a while. They were a really
I
cool
haven't
band.
either. I mean, I heard them, but I couldn't name a song.
It's not even hardcore. It's like a 90s, like alternative hard.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're just like a different thing. But they were cool.
Bob Mould was Husker Du, right?
I think so.
I think so, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think so. Yeah, they were pretty cool.
I got one here for Craig as well, also from Prog Rock Dude. Do you listen to much in the way of prog metal or prog rock? I know you mainly talk about simple and straightforward rock and roll, so it makes me curious if you usually have gone beyond that style of music.
I like Yes. That's pretty much the limit to that. I mean, I respect the musicianship, but it's just a lot of it. It's kind of like Tom Hanks and Big, where I say, I don't get it. It just doesn't register really with me. But I do respect the ability and the playing and everything. Just some of it's just kind of weird and out there for me.
Cool. Okay. Bryce, what do you think is the most overrated band artist of the 90s? And no, you can't say Nirvana.
Well, if I can't say them, I'm gonna go with a similar band to them. It's got to be Pearl Jam. I just think they suck. I don't like that mumbly nonsense vocal style from Eddie Vedder, and really just don't like them at all. Don't think they should have been so big.
Question for Butch from Eric Dinsey. 5 favorite John Sykes albums, live or studio?
Well, as long as I don't have to be in order, then so.
Yeah,
Then
he doesn't
Lizzie
say.
Thunder
So
and Lightning.
okay.
Huh?
He doesn't say, so no order. Yeah. Just
Yeah. So Thin Lizzy's Thunder and Lightning, Blue Murder, first one. Tigers of Pantang, Spellbound. Then it gets dicey. I gotta say, slide it in the US version, because even though he doesn't do John Sykes stuff on the US version, he's still on it, and you can hear he doesn't do John Sykes solo stuff in it. He's kind of very subdued, but he does all the Vroom stuff and the pinch harmonics, which if you've heard the original one, when you hear that one, it really stands out. So I love that version. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Agree.
And then that's 4. So what would 5 be? I don't want to say a live record. I mean, if I have to say a live record, I would say the Bad Boy Live. That's awesome because he does a little bit of everything. But studio, probably the Sykes record called Out of My Tree.
That's a good one.
That's really good. Standing at the Crossroads is on that. He kills on that. So those would probably be my 5.
Here's a question for anybody who wants to answer it. Rank these albums in the order of greatness. Black Sabbath, Heaven and Hell, Rainbow Rising, and Holy Diver.
Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I would go just as you did it.
Yeah.
Right there.
I would also go just as you read them off.
Yeah,
But that's
Rising,
that's
Heaven
tough.
and Hell, and Holy Diver.
I mean, there's three
Yeah, I'm
greats.
with
but-
Craig on that.
Oh, they're
Craig,
all
we
perfect
agree a
albums.
lot.
So
Heaven
Craig,
and Hell
Craig,
is
you
my
said
favorite.
Rising, Heaven and Hell,
Heaven
and
and
then Holy
Hell, Holy
Diver.
Diver. Just yeah.
Mm.
Anybody
I
else have a
concur.
different configuration?
Holy Dagger is
Heaven
my
and-
number one out of those, but I mean,
Yeah, they're all perfect albums. Can't go wrong.
I just like I like it a little bit faster and the more aggressive like shred from Vivian Campbell.
It kills. It
Yeah.
kills.
Actually, it
Butch,
goes.
how would you do it?
It goes in order
For
by
me, it would
chronological.
have to be. It would have to be Rising first, because that's my number 2 of all time. So I would have to say Rising, and then Holy Diver right behind it, and then Heaven and Hell third.
Okay.
Sorry, Chris.
That's okay. It's
They're all
What would you
perfect
like?
albums.
They're all
They're all
good.
great
There's
records.
there's
They're
no
all great
wrong
records.
answer.
I couldn't tell
I
you
mean,
how many
I love
bands
Holy
were all
Diver, but
three.
it would be number 3 for me. It just, man, for the top 2, I don't know. They're both so good,
I wish Heaven and Hell had the production of Mob Rules.
Yes.
right?
And that would sonically, I think, might change a lot of things.
Which is kind of puzzling. It's the
Yeah.
same guy, and it's a year and a half later.
But you know what? Think of Max Norman and Ozzy between Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman. Same
Yeah.
thing. That was like 6 months.
Yeah.
And it's
And if you're talking Martin Birch, if you listen to Cultosaurus Erectus and Fire of Unknown Origin, which he did both for both those Blurst collabs, they both sound completely different as well.
Totally different.
Good point.
absolutely.
So very strange, right?
Yep.
All right, here's one if anybody wants to tackle it. In the past, Pete has talked about albums or bands he wanted to like but just couldn't. Well, I'm asking the opposite of that. What are some albums or bands that you wanted to hate or brush off and ignore, but then hooked you and made you a fan? Any come to mind for anybody?
I
That's a good question.
I went to a live show, and it was Motorhead, Reverend Horton Heat, and Nashville Pussy. And Reverend Horton Heat came on, and it's like, a guy with a stand-up bass, and the singer playing like a big Gretsch guitar, and he looked kind of like a old man, type in that. But I really enjoyed the show a lot, and became a fan afterwards. I mean, I don't have their whole catalog or everything, but I really enjoy the tunes of Reverend Horton Heat. It's just good, fun rock and roll, and it really does get heavy and and punky at spots too.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's a lot of fun.
That's
I
a
got
great
everyone,
question.
Craig. They fucking rule. I love
That's a-
them.
That's a great question. I don't know if I have an answer for you though, but that's a great question.
Yeah, it is.
I'll tell you an album I didn't expect to love as much as I did, because I don't smoke weed, and the album's kind of monotonous. But the Sleep album, Dope Smoker,
I don't
fucking-
get them.
And I thought for years, I'm like, it's like like 3 riffs for like 58 minutes or whatever it is, or longer than that. But you know what? I love this album. I really, really love it a lot.
Yeah.
So I absolutely love it. So I bought it, I'm like, man, that just fucking hooked me right in.
See, Karen, if I had my show, I wouldn't be talking about all that stoner stuff neither. So
But we could argue about this. We should set up our own show, Butch.
I'm
and
not
you
even
and I
arguing. I'm just
go back
I'm-
and forth. We
I'm
can't take
just
up all these
saying.
people's time.
Actually, Karen and Pete got me into a lot of that stuff lately.
And Craig too, because Craig's got excellent stoner doom taste.
Mm.
You know it's like he's the unsung one over here.
That's
I
right.
only
listen
like
to
one-
you, dude.
I
I know
like
what you
one band I
listen to.
like that I would say that is stoner, and that's Orange Goblin, the worst name of all time. And I do dig them because they get to the metal side of it.
You're
Yeah,
great.
but there's a lot of psych, like heavy psych, that you might like.
No,
No,
I
not at
won't
all.
like
You don't
it.
like psychedelic music at all.
no, that's why I don't like 60s. I don't
Right.
like them. That's why I don't get the 60s. Like,
You
get
like
to
what
the
you
point.
like.
Everything, right? Can't
You like
I
what
mean,
you
get
like.
to the point.
Oh my God, we're gonna fight. When I see you next time, we're fighting and throwing down on site, Butch, on site.
She's gonna be like, Butch, bam,
Yeah.
sleep.
All right, here's a good one from David Pausho. What artists do you think are overexposed and get more press than they deserve?
Guns N' Roses.
Metallica.
Show on that one.
Yeah.
I like Metallica, but enough. Please, enough. Cool.
Ghost,
I would agree with the Guns N'
Yeah.
Roses thing for sure.
I say
Guns N' Roses.
Ghost. I don't really see the appeal that much. Just personally.
But you know, the thing with Guns N' Roses is they deserve a lot of credit for what they got back then. But knowing that they really have only done 3 records, I mean, Chinese Democracy, has anyone ever heard it? I haven't. I don't care to hear it. But
I
you know,
haven't.
you figure they have 3 records, and it's 40 years later.
Exactly.
So it's like, I mean, I think it would be awesome if they had all the guys back together, and they didn't. Then they deserve the hype. But just having 3 guys and they getting all the hype, I don't. Yeah.
Not only that,
We've
but
got a new pinball machine too. It's like 2 of them for
And they
I
still
mean-
sell huge arenas from what I see.
They do.
Which
I
is
mean,
kind of
Appetite-
mystifying, but
Appetite is just a great fucking record. You can hate on it all you want. It's good. Good is good. It's a great record, especially at that time.
not when you hear it a billion freaking times.
yeah, I'm sick to fucking death
That's
of
why I
it.
don't listen to
Wait
the
a minute.
radio.
Wait
It's
a minute.
too
I
loud.
was in Florida 2 weeks ago, right? Got stuck in Florida. We're in the car. We didn't have satellite. We put on a local radio station that was rock. I swear to God, they play Guns N' Roses all fucking day.
It's at this point, it's safe.
I Welcome to the Jungle 5 times in an hour. I'm like, what?
You know
Trying
what?
to get out of the fucking jungle here. Look.
I told my wife, put it on gospel, anything.
You know what's scary, Rob, with that is, like I just said, it's like now that's considered safe. At the time in '87, you know, they were dangerous.
Brew?
You couldn't play that under, and the same thing with Metallica. Dangerous. You can't play this
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
And now both of them are safe around.
Oh, it's
everywhere.
everywhere. It's just like you hear it in the like fucking
Good
shopping
point.
at Macy's. Yeah.
It's scary how things have changed.
Yeah.
What was the question, Pete?
We'll move on to the next one.
Off the rails.
From Sika, this is a question for Nick. What did you think of the Ghost cover of Phantom of the Opera?
The Ghost cover of Phantom of the Opera. I did listen to it like once. It wasn't bad. It didn't like blow me off the water, but the guys in Ghost are legitimate, like old school metal guys. Like they.
Oh yeah, for real.
Well, the one
They-
guy
they-
is. The main guy is.
Oh yeah, that's true. I really don't know much about the other guys, but what's his name? Tobias? Is that his name?
Tobias
Tobias,
Forge.
yeah.
He used to be in
Tobias
a pretty extreme death metal band too
Yeah,
before.
he's old-
Yeah,
old
yeah,
metal,
no,
man. It's fucking great.
he grew up right alongside all the other extreme metal dudes. So I know they did it justice. It isn't something I like go out of my way to listen to, but they did it justice. That's one of my favorite Maiden songs. So that person knows me.
I think it was cool that they did it like Ghost. You know, they didn't try to be Maiden. They just did it the Ghost way, which I thought was cool.
What's kind of cool is like I know a couple like a guy I work with took his daughter to see Ghost, and I think he was saying like a whole bunch of people heard Phantom of the Opera that never would have heard it. So that has some value. I mean,
Absolutely.
I don't know how many of those people are
Yeah.
going to go out and chase Iron Maiden down, but yeah, positive.
Look what Metallica did for Diamond Head.
For what?
Right? For Diamond Head, they played
Oh,
a
back in
Diamond
the
Head
day, yeah.
song.
Put a lot of money in Brian Tatler's pocket over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it made me want to listen to Diamond Head.
Oh yeah, I made me want to listen to Diamond Head too.
Mhm.
Question for everyone. What artist or musician's death affected you the most?
Lemmy.
Lemmy.
Oh my God, I was just gonna say that. Lemmy.
Lemmy.
Yeah.
Retroactively Cliff Burton, but I always knew him as dead, if that makes any sense.
I
You know
would
what I
say
mean?
Lemmy and Joey Ramone.
Eddie for me, and Neil.
And Dio, especially after you
Dio.
watch that
Dio.
excellent documentary.
Oh, yeah.
When you watch the documentary, it was like, oh my God, I really miss his voice and
Yeah,
his
I think
contributions.
Dio and Gary Moore for me.
Mhm.
For me,
Yeah.
it's Wendy O. Williams, and it's because of the way she went. You know, I never got to see her live, and for her to blow her head off, like
Yeah, that was.
Tragic,
for
man. It was
suicide,
tragic.
and there's so many people out there that loved her, and I always got like the feeling like she thought she was past her prime because she didn't feel like she was so sexy to be up there on stage, but like didn't think about all the people that really loved the albums and loved her voice. I would have went and seen her tomorrow if she was still alive. You know, I wouldn't care if she was half naked or not. You know,
Yeah.
that really that she left the way she did.
Well, if
Amen.
I got to open for her once at the Chance on an Easter Sunday.
Oh,
Wow.
Wow.
She was really cool, and she was the opposite of what she put out there or what you might have thought was out there about her. She was like vegan and didn't
Yeah.
drink, and it was milk and vegetables and everything.
She loved animals.
I read the great book that's out about her right now, and there's so much in there that people don't know. Like everybody thinks like her and Lemmy were actually like a couple. She thought Lemmy was like kind of disgusting. He was a alcoholic that smoked nonstop. She was a vegan. She's a fitness person. Like there's so many myths about her, but they played it up good to make her the ultimate like punk shock rocker. But that book was just amazing about her, and I got like 4 different DVDs about her, and she's my favorite female performer. And when I heard she died the way she did, it really hit me harder than anyone else.
That's hard.
I was gonna say, and when I was younger, I think it was John Bonham affected me, and of course Stevie Ray, because I saw Stevie Ray twice before he passed, and that was pretty much a shocker. The whole thing that happened with him.
Yeah,
I was hoping to see him a couple more times.
Butch, how about you, EVH?
Yeah. I mean, there's 4 big ones. Like you say, Gary Moore, of course. Randy Rhoads was a huge one. I remember being in junior high school and coming home. I remember exactly where I was when I heard it, and sat in my garage and pondered all that. And obviously, besides Edward, it's Philip Lynott, because that was 86. It was January of 86, and I was just really starting to get into Lizzie. I'd been out of high school for 6 months. I was getting into Lizzie when I was finishing high school, and so I was just going out and starting to find the records. It was hard to find, and then he died. But yeah, Edward, yeah, because he's everything. He was everything. I mean, for me, that's why I always had the Eddie Edward thing. But the Edward for me was, it's 1978 to 1982, and even though it's a short amount of time, what he did in that amount of time completely changed everything in my orbit. So, growing up with him, and then to see him go as young as he did, it was a shame. But knowing that he everything he did, man, he lived his life like a fucking rock star, and it was. I'm glad to be around when he was around. But yeah, that one made me cry out loud. That was. I remember I called my mom after someone had called me and told me, and they thought I knew, so they didn't think they were telling me. They thought they were just like, "Oh my God," wanting to talk about it. I'm like, "What?" And yeah, that one I remember calling my mom and trying to explain to my mom and crying to my mom, because my mom was the person that gave me that first record. I've told you guys many times that story, but my mom getting me that record in '79, so she was the first person I called because she understood.
Yeah,
so that hurt.
Chris, how about you?
Oh, without a doubt, for me, Ronnie James Dio. I interviewed him 5 times. Brought him stuff for me to sign, and I remember telling him how my dad had passed, but my dad got me Dio records and took me to my first Dio show, and he was very appreciative that I was still a fan, and super nice guy. And then I got to pee next to him. So
right.
Were you at a urinal?
Yeah, 2 urinals right next to him.
It's an important
I
detail.
wasn't a stall. No.
Yeah. What was Nick? Where was Nick thinking they were?
Parking lot.
The trough.
So Bryce, I know you're a bit younger than us, but have there, probably a lot of your heroes are all still alive for the most part, but is there any like older rock star who's passed in recent years that kind of affected you?
Yeah, definitely Eddie Van Halen is a big one. I went out to California like a couple weeks after he died. Actually, I rode past and looked at his childhood home.
Did you
Saw
really?
I did. Saw the big mural they had in LA of him at the Guitar Center over there. Just looked at a bunch of cool stuff like that. And another big one was Nick Menza from Megadeth. I was really wanting, because my favorite lineup ever. I was really hoping it was gonna get back together, because there was rumors around that time, and he actually just had a heart attack on stage. I think it was with Chris Poland's like jazz fusion band or whatever kind of band they had in LA. He just had a heart attack on stage and passed away, which is really sad.
God.
So yeah.
I do have one more, Pete, was because I'm not the kind of person when I go to see bands, like I don't track band people down, I don't take pictures, I don't do autographs. That's just not what I do. I see the band, I appreciate the music, and I leave. And I saw Manila Road many, many times over the years. And the last time I saw Manila Road, which was, I actually had to look up the picture here while we were talking, it was October 2017. As we're leaving, it was Dingbats in New Jersey. We're leaving. It was me and my friend Craig, another Craig, bald, lifts weights. But, but as we're walking around the corner, the main guy in the band, the only original guy, the main guy, Mark Shelton, was standing there. So I'm like, I'm not usually one to take pictures, but he's right there. There's no one around. I'm like, fuck it. So we go up. We're like, Mark, you guys were fucking awesome. Great show. Appreciate it. And he was super cool, of course, because he just had a reputation as being one of the nicest guys in the world. And you know what? It was like, we took a picture with him, which I had to look up too. Let's see if I can get it here. Yeah. So we took a picture. That's outside Dingbats in New Jersey. And
The stuff in your head.
Yeah,
I
what's
had
that
hair on my
on
head,
the
yeah.
top of the
Yeah, I don't know what that was. Yeah, and then a couple months later, I think maybe 6, 7, 8 months later, they were playing a show in Europe, and it was hot as shit in the venue. And he's not a young guy, and I think he just overcame with heat exhaustion, and he died. And that was the end of it. And I saw him probably like 13, 14 times. That was the last time I saw them, and I'm like, fuck it, let me get a picture with him. So it was kind of gratuitous, but yeah.
They're really underrated.
picture.
Really
Good picture.
Super underrated, and he was so fucking nice. And I know a lot of, because they're such an like indie obscure band. People I know are good friends with them, or friends with the band, and there was like, he's the nicest guy in the world, like big pothead, just go over, smoke weed, hang out all weekend at the house, listen to music, have food, just fucking great guys. I never knew him like that, but I did get to talk to him briefly, and yeah, and it was just kind of worked out that one hit me hard when I heard that he passed away. But he's one of those deals where he basically went out doing what he loved, up on stage, fucking blasting away, and that was it.
Cool.
I do have to mention one before. I gotta say this before I forget it. Again, one that we're talking and it goes out of my head. Fucking Dimebag. That was.
I thought you were going to mention him. Yeah,
that was a humongous
one. What the fuck?
I remember my friend calling me in the morning, waking me up on a Friday morning. And he's telling me, I'm like, no, you had to have heard that wrong. What the fuck's wrong with you? And I get up and get my phone and I'm going through, and I'm like, oh fuck.
What a way. I mean, it was shocking.
Yeah.
Shocking.
I wasn't into him at the time, but I've probably showed this before, but I've got a Dimebag Daryl tattoo.
No, I've never seen that.
Yeah. It says lightning bolt guitar. It says 66 to 2004. R.I.P. Dimebag. So
he was the real deal, man. You talk about a good fucking guy. He was a great fucking guy, man.
Yeah. Wish I could have seen him.
I was out on a business trip in California. I got a text at like 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, who's texting me at this hour? And I'm like, oh Jesus. Wow.
Yep.
No good.
When the old drummer of Halloween committed suicide, Ingo Schwichtenberg, I never, it was before the internet, and I never like really did anything but see pictures of the guy. But that was like the first time a band that I followed had a suicide. And it's sadly ironic that is one of the happiest bands you'll ever listen to. I listen to all these miserable fucking death metal, black metal bands, and they had their share of suicides and stuff. But in my chronology, that was the first one that I really became aware of. And I was, it made me feel, oh my God, but he had all kinds of mental problems. He threw himself in front of a train. He was schizophrenic. He was a brilliant drummer. He was the nicest fucking guy, but he was just very schizophrenic. They didn't understand any of that shit back then, I think, like they didn't really treat it maybe like they might have today. And he lost touch with the band. I think there was a lot of problems in the lineup when, of course, Halloween was going through that phase where they were making like some pretty shitty albums. And I think he just, I think he was just spiraling out, and then, and then they lost him. And that's just, brutal. He was so young.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Here's one for anybody who wants to answer, if you dare. You're on a desert island. You can only choose one of these select discographies. The choices are a collection of 70s Judas Priest classics: Rock-a-Rolla, Sad Wings of Destiny, Sin After Sin, Stained Class, Hellbent for Leather, and Unleashed in the East, or these select 80s Iron Maiden classics: Iron Maiden, Killers, Number of the Beast, Peace of Mind, Power Slave, Live After Death, Somewhere in Time, and Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. Which one do you take?
Priest.
Maiden.
That's very tough.
Priest.
Maiden gotta be Priest.
Not even tough.
Maiden in that exact matchup. If it was like the whole discography against each other, I'm taking Priest, but 80s Maiden against 70s Priest, I'll take 80s Maiden.
I gotta go with Maiden too. Sorry, Karen.
No way, man.
Yep,
No
Maiden.
way.
Yep.
I love it.
Raise your hand.
Hey, look on Chris's face to
Wait a
hear
minute.
this question.
I want to hear from Chris.
That's a
1,
pass.
2, 3, 4. Who's
Wait,
Maiden?
who's taking what?
Raise
Who's
your hand,
taking Maiden? Who's taking
Can I
Maiden?
have Maiden and Unleashed in the East? Can I?
No,
You don't get
I'm
to
taking
choose.
Maiden.
two for me.
Who's
Two for me.
taking Priest?
I go with the way Bryce said it. Like if you go to whole discography, I think Priest might edge out, but in that era, I got to go with the Maiden.
It's
Nice.
close. It's close.
It's very
You
close.
hurt me, Ralph. You hurt
They're
me.
they're
I'll
both
cheat.
great.
I'll take them both. I'll cheat. There you go.
Yeah. Get a fucking USB hard drive with all of it.
All right, so here's the last question. There's a lot we didn't get to, and this one I think is kind of timely for today, since it is the anniversary of 9/11. So, question for the Hudson Valley Squares panel members who were meddlers in the 80s. Could you tell us some of your experience of the very New Yorkness of growing up in New York during that period? Were there any big historic events that took place from that you have vivid memories of, like from the Lenin assassination, 9/11 attacks? Where were we when all this stuff happened? And do we have any kind of, like, other than these kind of bad events, do we have any other really good memories of being a New Yorker? I guess this specifically for the Hudson Valley folks here.
Yeah,
Butch,
when the
anything
Yankees
come to mind?
win.
For
The
me,
70s Yankees, that was a freaking amazing.
But there you go. Yeah,
What about the
that's
80s
something.
Giants? They were great too. Just being in New York and grabbing a freaking pastrami sandwich at Katz's, anything. It's great.
No
I mean,
pastrami for Butch.
Yeah, yeah, it's just
I walked past it though.
the best city in the world.
We were talking about the bacon, egg, and cheese in the gabagool. It's some of the highlights here.
I was gonna say, Pete, it's not a negative, or I guess it's kind of a negative, sort of, because I'm old now. But I have said all the time to friends when it comes up, and several times on this show, I am so glad that the New York metal clubs do not do today what they did in the 80s.
Oh, I hear
Because
you. I'm backing
the-
you up on that.
In the 80s, it was, when you went to Lemoore or the Sundance or wherever to see these, metal bands at a metal club,
The
the
Ritz.
standard procedure was doors open at 9 p.m. First band was 11 p.m.
And yeah.
And if you were lucky, the show would end maybe like 4 a.m. Like, even on a Saturday.
Wait a minute. What clubs were you going to that the band went on at 11 o'clock?
I went to a lot.
Lemoore in
Lemoore?
Brooklyn?
I
Frank
went to
Cariola
Lemoore.
Sundance?
I
The
went
Ritz?
there a lot.
Irving
I
Plaza?
never seen the band going on
Fuck
at 11
yeah.
o'clock.
I don't know
Oh,
where
yeah.
you've been.
Absolutely. When I would see
Yeah.
Guns N' Roses and Slayer and King Diamond and Creator and all these bands in the 80s at Lemoore, Frank Cariola
Right.
Sundance, sometimes the Ritz in New York City. That was
All the
standard
time.
practice.
It still happens, but it's rare. Because when
I'm
I get home
gonna
from a
beg to
show-
differ. And I got some ticket stubs that can back up what I'm my thoughts, but to go along with it, yeah. I mean, it was.
It still happens, but it's rare. If I get home from a show and the sun's coming up, I'm pissed off.
I mean,
I'm
I'm
not fucking happy.
I'm too old now to do anything like that, but thank God that was, like I said, you guys mentioned Lemoore. That was fucking, that was what they do. Every time I saw Overkill back in the 80s at Lemoore, not the
Oh.
Chance, but Lemoore, doors open at 9, opening band would be 11. There'd be at least 2 openers. And yeah,
Every
the show
rock
would be over
hotel
like
show was that way.
That's
too.
all the
I've
rock
always heard that
hotel
called-
shows. Yeah.
Yeah, every
I've always
rock
heard that
hotel
called
show.
punk rock time. So the show's running on punk rock time. It starts when it starts.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I remember going to see Anthrax under assumed names and like you said, and Overkill and TT Quick and all those bands. I remember it being a late night. I remember leaving there 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, but it definitely, I do not remember ever going there and driving from Dutchess County to get down there at 11 o'clock for the first band. I totally don't remember that.
Yeah, that's how
And I'm older than you, unfortunately.
My New York, my
It
New
still
York
happens
iconic.
with like little, like smaller shows.
Yeah.
Like that one show that fucking Keeler always like, oh, the Chinese basement show. But one of those shows. I looked at my fucking phone. It was 4 a.m. and the band was still playing. I'm like,
Maron.
I got Maron. Like I got a 90-minute drive and it's 4 a.m. I'm just fucking leaving. And as I pulled into my house, the sun was coming up. I'm like, this fucking sucks.
Yeah.
My New York moment is June 14th, 1994, when the New York Rangers laid waste the 54-year curse and won their Stanley Cup.
That was brilliant, buddy.
And it looks like I'm going to have to go the rest of my fucking life without it happening again at this rate.
Yeah, we got
You got
one.
one.
Though.
You got
Or any
We didn't
time
expect to get
at
that one.
CBGB's, any
know, we
show
barely got
Sunday
that one.
matinee at CBGB's. That's a New York and a half moment right there. Oh my God, Lower East Side, that's rad.
well,
Yeah.
Cameron, was it us? I know I was having a conversation recently about the bathroom at CBGB's
Oh,
and the geographical positioning of like how like so the men's bathroom, basically you go in there, there's no doors anywhere, they don't believe in
None.
doors, and the toilet's up on like a little pedestal.
yep.
It's a pedestal, there's no door, and it's just in the middle of the room facing the
There was
door.
no seat.
No seat, no nothing. And right across from the door, looking right out, was the women's bathroom. So God forbid you had to take a shit. Not only was everybody in the club looking at you, but you were looking right into the women's bathroom too. And there's nothing, there's no curtains, no doors, no Wizard of Oz behind, nothing. You're just
Someone I care very deeply about was talking to us about it, about that bathroom.
Oh, I was
didn't like
fucking
pissing
howling.
in it.
That was so
Gross.
funny. I remember it, but thank fuck I never had to take a shit there.
Did anybody ever buy the postcard?
For
I do
Remember the
that, though?
postcard that
There was a poster of
CBGB's
it
had?
too. Yeah.
The postcard was the
God.
bathroom.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've seen. Yeah,
I pissed in that bathroom. I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah, I pissed in it. It was gross even pissing there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And out in the main area with all the layers and layers of flyers.
Yes, that's right.
Oh yeah, it's like
Yeah.
there was like a
All the
foot.
flyers,
The flyers
yeah.
are like this thick. You have
Yeah,
to,
no
like,
one
get
took them
through.
down. You just put yours on top of it.
Yeah, you go through
Flyers
enough
suck.
layers, you're like, wow, there's a Ramones flyer. From
Exactly.
78,
Yeah.
I missed that place. It was a shithole, but I missed that place.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say I wasn't around back in the day, but I have been to New York City 3 times now, twice this year actually. I went twice with my girlfriend this year. Really great time. I love the city. I saw Holder at a little club, black metal band, Lay Poison Rouge in New York
Yeah.
City. I don't know if
Yep, I
anybody's
was
been
there
there.
recently. That's a cool venue.
Yeah, it was a nice,
Yep.
real nice place.
Yep.
Like
I have to say-
Lucifer's coming there
Yep.
later this year.
It's a night. Yeah, I just saw Sierra Thungle there like a month, 2 months
Yeah.
ago. It was
The
great.
thing
That's
that's
cool.
funny about New York City, though, for people most people that are watching this from elsewhere, is that you have this illusion that New York City had all these clubs all over the place, and it wasn't. The best clubs were not in Manhattan. New
No.
Jersey had more clubs in Jersey than Manhattan had. And we talk about Lemoore all the time as being our #1 place to see bands. That wasn't technically in Manhattan either. That was in Brooklyn and
That was in Brooklyn. And none of these places
Well-
were near to each other. Like to go
No.
between like Lemoore and CBGB's, you might as well drive to fucking Connecticut.
right.
None of them were
No,
nearby.
I think you're wrong. I think that that New York in the 80s was a lot easier to navigate traffic wise than it is right now.
Right now it
and-
sucks.
Well, yeah, less people. Yeah.
I think people forget that New York is 5 boroughs and it's a lot more residential, and like Whitestone, Queens is something totally different than Mott Haven in the Bronx, or the Lower East Side is totally different than,
Oh, 100%. That's
you know,
why
like
I like going to
I
these.
think that people just see New York City as they just envision like Manhattan or some
That's what I think.
crazy like
well-
apocalyptic movie, you know what I mean? And that there's so
Escape
much,
from New
there's
York.
everything.
If I got to go to a show in Brooklyn, other than the King's Theater, which kind of sucks, like St. Vitus, I talk about. That's easy to get to for me. It's easy to go to. Parking's free. That's no problem. If I got to go to Manhattan, Manhattan's like it's an ordeal. It's a fucking
See,
pain.
to me, it's the other
Yeah.
way around. Brooklyn is like how many bridges and 2 hours away? To me, the city is straight down. I'm there in 70 minutes.
Well, it
But I
depends on
also
where you're
drive.
going
I don't
in
take
Brooklyn.
trains.
If
I'll
you're
just-
going to the
I'm
King's
driving
Theater,
too. I'm driving too.
I used
You
to
know,
love.
not to-
I used to love going on road trips. We used to go road trip. We used to go to Asbury Park all the time. I saw Trower. I seen Derringer. I saw Johnny Winter. So many bands down there. I mean, that was a lot of fun in those days. But
That's a hike.
for me, New York City was about the Garden. For me personally, I saw so many shows at the Garden, especially like the Priest and Maiden together, and then Robert Plant and the Ears and there's hundreds and hundreds of concerts that I've
And
been
that's actually, speaking of places, I mean, that's obviously different, but yeah, that's still there.
But the main
Wow.
thing about what I think about when I went to the Garden was we always had. I remember the first when I saw Heaven and Hell tour in 1980. We were all the way up in the top, and we ended up on the floor. And those days, you were able to go down, get over the barriers. Nobody bothered you, and you go right on the floor. And that's how it was in those days. Now you can't, you can't do that shit anymore. But
But there's
for
something,
me,
there's
living
something
in-
about the energy of the garden. You're right about
energy.
that.
the energy was, you can't compare that to a small club. I mean,
No, even though,
don't get me
like,
wrong, I've been to a lot of clubs. I'm just saying you can't compare 20,000 people screaming, you
no,
know.
but I think it's different even at the garden. Like I saw Black Sabbath at Barclays, right? Which is comparable as far as size is concerned. And I saw them at the garden, and it's just the energy, I think, of the garden. Then,
Of course.
you know what I mean? I think
Anything at the Garden.
The Islanders
the
play
Garden.
at Barclays, so of course Barclays
everything.
sucks because
they're
the
back at the
Islanders play there.
mausoleum, right?
Preach, Nick.
Exactly.
Uh-oh.
All right, let's end this on a very
Hey,
light-hearted note.
I gotta say something really quick. I didn't
Yeah.
get a chance to say anything on that one. Yeah, I've seen a ton of violence in the late 80s and the 90s in New York. At the shows that I was going to, a lot of hardcore, a lot of underground death metal, but like a ton of violence. It was really pretty crazy. But he mentioned in the question something about 9/11. When 9/11 happened, I remember I had tickets to see Judas Priest and Iced Earth at the Roseland.
Yeah, same.
Roseland was awesome.
And that was the one ticket that I had when that happened. It got postponed, and later when it came back, it was Anthrax and Judas Priest. I couldn't remember if the Anthrax was originally on the first bill too, but anyway, the first show back after 9/11, which was a pretty good one. I got a T-shirt for it. It was United.
Was that New York Steel?
Yeah, the New York Steel show.
Yeah.
It was
there.
Twisted Sister reunited for the first time after like 13 years. Ace Frehley, Overkill, Anthrax, and Sebastian Bach, the Hammerstein Ballroom. And I think this was the first real metal show back in New York City after 9/11. And they had a big memorial show thing with The Who. I think Paul McCartney was there at the Garden, but like they didn't have any metal bands representing. So this was like the kind of like how Hearing Aid came about. They did a metal version.
Which was all Eddie Trunk.
Yeah, Eddie Trunk hosted it with Mike Piazza, and yeah,
He put that show together.
Yep.
And speaking of Mike Piazza, one of my very memorable moments post 9/11, in fact, it was a week later, was when the Mets had that first game in Shea Stadium after 9/11, and they had the fire department there, and it was very, very emotional evening, and they were playing the Braves, who I hate. Sorry, Bryce.
I don't like him either.
Okay, good. Anyway, perfect.
I like the Reds.
Okay, that's right. Right. And Mike Piazza hit that game-winning home run late in the game.
Yes.
I saw clips from it again this past weekend, and it was just amazing. So, yeah.
I have Mike Piazza on videotape singing with Flotsam and Jetsam in a club in Jersey in front of like 12 people.
Get the hell out of here.
I went to see Flotsam and Jetsam at Obsessions in Randolph, New Jersey.
Yeah.
And I was on the guest list, and Eddie Trunk and Mike Piazza walked in. There was literally like a dozen people there. And then he got up on stage and he did a Flotsam and Jetsam song. I don't remember what one. And I think it was Back in Black. And Mike Piazza, he's probably a really good baseball player, but he's a fucking awful singer. I
He's
have
a huge
some in
metal
my
fan.
collection.
He's a
because
really
I was-
big metal fan. Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Catcher. He used to
videotaping.
catch for the Mets, right? He was the catcher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I met him at a Halford concert. He was at Rob Halford when Resurrection tour. He was at the Hammerstein. I'm trying to remember what show that was. Roseland. He was at the Roseland show. And that was like right after. Was that before? No, that was probably before 9/11. But
All right, last question. This is an easy one, lighthearted one. It's not music related. This is from just another Mal enthusiast. Question for everybody: who is your top celebrity crush? Chris.
Oh. Oof. Wow.
No,
There's a couple.
no,
I'm gonna
pick
go
one.
with Simone. I'm gonna go with Simone from Epica. I just fucking love her.
And it doesn't have to be music related. It could be film too.
Then Christy Canyon.
Okay. Ralph.
Elvira.
I love Chris.
Elvira. All right. Ryan.
You know, I just never really had that kind of thing. I don't know. I just never.
Who pays attention to that?
Yeah, I never paid attention to it. Yeah, I don't know. I just was never really cared.
Nick.
Oh man, music would be Chelsea Wolfe. Regular actresses. I used to love Christina Hendricks from Mad Men.
Like
Yeah,
Wow.
but probably the most mainstream one that I will always love and always have a crush on is Charlize Theron.
Oh yeah, she's
But it's
beautiful.
partially because she kicks ass and is an unbelievable actress.
A
So
monster?
what's that?
What about a monster? You still did?
She was
Oh,
great
yeah.
in that movie.
It's still,
Great.
that was phenomenal. I just would
Phenomenal.
be very polite to her. I wouldn't, No,
It's
yeah,
like
she,
I'd even let her kill me.
yeah, but you ever see
Yeah.
Atomic Blonde? Atomic Blonde, where she's
Yeah,
just
that was
beating the
good.
crap out of
Fury
dudes the
Road.
whole-
Fury Road was
Fury Road is forget it.
I didn't
Unbelievable.
like. I
Yeah.
didn't like her doing that Mad Max thing. I didn't like that.
Oh, I loved it.
Nope.
I was just watching that the other day, as a matter of fact.
I love that
Yesterday,
movie.
the day before, yeah. It was
Yeah.
on.
Why would you
I
make
think
Mad
great.
Max a woman? I don't get it.
Well, Max was in it. You just
He
Well,
was
you
just
know
a
what I
bitch.
mean. It
He
was
didn't-
kinda-
he-
I'm with
Yeah,
Butch
it's
on this one.
he didn't have a lot to say.
What are these broads going to do in the apocalypse?
There you go. There's your answer right there.
Have some gabagool?
There you go.
I would love
Nice.
some gabagool.
How about you, Bryce?
Now we brought it full circle.
I'm kind of like Ryan, was never really big into it, but I mean, growing up, I kind of liked Miranda Cosgrove. She was iCarly. No, probably none of y'all know who that
How
is.
cute
but-
you are. You're adorable.
I
swear
know who
to
she is. I have
God.
grandkids, so
I
I know.
swear to God, you're adorable.
In my head, I'm
She parties.
picturing Karen
100%.
pinching Bryce's cheeks.
I just love this kid. I don't know why. I just do. I do.
Because he rules. Bryce rules.
There's
Thank
your
you.
answer right there.
There
Thank you.
go.
Thank you.
Craig.
I'd have to go with Laura Leighton and Josie Bissett. They played Sydney and Jane on Melrose Place, and I'm plenty secure enough to admit that I watched it back then. And they're still smoking hot now. The hot older broads now. I love it.
Rob.
I have to go with my girlfriend Celia Ward. If you guys know who that is.
I do.
Yeah.
Very much
One
so.
armed man.
Music with back in the day it was Nancy Wilson. Always with Nancy was my all over my walls.
Yeah.
Karen.
Well, Keeler's not here, but he has me.
So it would have
pegged.
been Steve Keeler?
It was Keeler?
I will never
always-
let you
Keeler
forget you say
calls
that.
He
it.
is
Keeler
big.
says, "I'm in love with Ryan Scow," and it's true. It's true. So Keeler, you got me. I do. My celebrity crush is Ryan Scow. What can I
You'll
say?
never. Oh, you never hear the end of that now.
I know.
You'll never ever.
All right, Butch.
Music, all the women I liked were older now. Like Rob said, I loved Nancy Wilson. I post about her quite often. She was awesome. Probably as you would expect, Pete, is my crush has been for actually even before the show that she's known for now, because I'm a sucker for, I love redheads. But I love the shit out of Kelly Riley from Yellowstone playing Beth Dutton.
I knew you were going to, yeah.
Yeah, I love. She's granted, it's the character that makes her really appealing, but I love Kelly shows before that too. So I'm glad that
She was always hot before that, but something about her on that show, man, is just like it's crazy.
drinking bourbon and trash talking. You gotta fucking love it.
Yeah. I think for me, as far as like rock stars, I mean, yeah, Nancy Wilson when she was younger. I had a thing for Debbie Harry when she was younger.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
oh my God.
That I never saw. I never got that
Hey,
much.
she kissed me, so I was pretty lucky with that one.
There you go.
Rob's like, I went to first base.
Pete, you got to go with Linda Carter.
Yeah, well, yeah. As far as
Oh,
like,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, yeah. When I was a kid, Linda Carter, 100%.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. Today, maybe
Wonder
out of
Woman.
today's, I don't know, Sydney Sweeney or Alexandra Daddario are probably the two today.
Yeah, her and her big eyes.
Yeah. So, but yeah,
You say Debbie Harry. I always think of Videodrome too.
yes.
Videodrome. She was great in that movie.
Yep.
That's an awesome movie.
So there you have it, everybody. We didn't get to all the questions we wanted to, but we just had a lot of fun with the ones that we did. So thanks to everybody for pitching these ideas. And I want to thank the crew here for having fun with this. It got heated, it got fun, it got hilarious, all sorts of stuff, all in an hour and almost an hour and a half.
It went over an hour, Chris.
Yeah.
I see that.
I've missed
Once
my
in
whole
a while it's
world.
okay. Let's
Right.
not make it a
Right,
habit, folks.
No. You got to be happy. We threw in the sandwich question, right? You knew I was.
Hey, listen, I like sandwiches.
I love sandwiches. I'm right there with you.
There you go.
It's an
Maybe a
American
part
thing
two.
to do.
We'll have to work on Butch on that. Sandwiches and Jaws.
Yeah.
You might get me with Jaws. The sandwiches, good luck.
There's a whole lot of sandwiches out there. There's a whole wide world of
Telling
sandwiches.
you,
Wide world of sandwiches.
you never know.
This is why I'm in love with Brian Scow, because he says
Yeah.
stuff
He knows
like
all the
that.
I do
sandwiches.
stupid shit all the time.
More
Ryan
metal
in his tankard.
Who's got the emojis for all the hearts to go up? That's what we need to do right now.
For sandwiches.
All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. This was fun. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube all together. All the
All
damn
the
time.
damn time.
Stay tuned
You
to
never get it.
today for our regularly
even
scheduled
close.
programming. But thanks for everybody. We'll do this again, as I've said on all the other shows. We'll probably try and do these Q&A things like maybe about twice a year. So we'll be back at you again either later this year or early next year, and we'll do another one. So thanks everyone, for Butch, for Karen, for Rob, for Craig, for Bryce, for Nick, for Ryan, for Ralph, for Chris. I am Pete. Good night, everybody, from the Hudson Valley Squares. Take care. And to all the folks here in the New York, New Jersey area, we're thinking about all the folks who lost their lives at 9/11. That's why we have this day every year. And till next time, take care, everybody.